Yeah, product placement, yeah. This is Think Tech Hawaii. We are so happy to be broadcasting here on a Friday afternoon. We call this the next best thing, and we're going to talk about, let's see, human-centric lighting today with Howard Wiig, who is a local science and economic development person. You want to describe yourself better than that, Howard?
A longtime member of the State Energy Office specializing in energy efficient lighting and building codes.
There you go. And Stan Walerczyk, who is the president of Lighting Wizard and who joins us by Skype from Kihei, Maui. Hi, Stan. Thank you for joining us.
Hello and welcome.
Yeah, great. So anyway, let's get a handle on what it means when we say human-centric lighting. That way I can keep both you guys on the track. You want to start with that, Howard, or are you going to defer to Stan?
I'll give a real basic thing, and then Stan can go into the glorious details. We are emerging into the world of LEDs, light-emitting diodes, and they are extremely rugged and they're extremely flexible. You can turn them on and off as often as you want. You can dim them way down. You can take them way back. You can shift the tones and the moods in any way you want. Plus, you can achieve, this is where I come in, easily 50% energy savings. For instance, I'm working with both the state DOT, Department of Transportation, and the city street lighting people. They're both going to convert to LEDs. We're going to have better, higher quality lighting down on the street, and we're going to reduce energy use by 50%. Those are the real basics of LEDs, and they're going to go a long way towards taking us to the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative. Just lower that demand for electricity down. But that's just number one with LEDs. As I said, they're extremely flexible. When you get into a space, say like a warehouse, I know everybody's a warehouse type person, instead of having the lights on all the time with LEDs, as soon as a forklift goes into the warehouse, boom, that portion of the warehouse turns on, and only that portion. The guy gets his goods, and that portion goes out, everything goes off again. You have 90% energy savings and better quality light for the warehouseman who's getting his goods.
Is it expensive?
No, they're coming down in price. It's just like photovoltaics. They're going down as demand goes up. There's the magic of mass production, and it is really taking effect. Plus, you put all of the LED companies worldwide together, their R&D budget goes into the billions. Research and development is really intense with the LED industry, and incidentally, LED production manufacture is moving back to America. That should make us all very happy.
Nice to hear manufacturing in America.
Yeah, because you can customize the manufacture of LEDs precisely, and if customer A needs this, boom, the American manufacturer produces it. Customer B calls in, hey, I need that. As soon as they get through with this one, boom, they go to that one. They shift everything around, and delivery turnaround time can be within weeks or even days instead of months. So LEDs have that advantage too.
And am I right about this? You can design your lighting temperature, because we have studio lights here that are LEDs. Everybody compliments us on that, where you can adjust the temperature of your lighting.
Temperature refers in this case not to your thermometer temperature, but to the color of the light.
Yes.
The lower the temperature, the warmer or the more yellowish orange the light, the cooler it is, the bluer or more intense it is. Yeah. For instance, these lights shining on us are about, I would guess, 3,500 degrees Kelvin.
3,200, but good for you.
Okay. And the reason that you and I look so good is that when you get into the warmer temperatures, you start emulating flesh tones. When you get into the higher bluish temperatures, you wash out the flesh tones. So you look like a handsome young man because of that 3,200 degree K.
And you too, Howard. But did it ever occur to you that we might look good even without 3,200 K?
No. I just had to chastise my lady friend for having 5,000 K LEDs in her bathroom. I said, how in the world are you going to put on makeup when you're just going to look washed out, whatever
and you
do?
won't know what you really look like.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So the beauty of LEDs is you can adjust them up, down, anywhere you want. And with that, so I'll segue into Stan now, you can create moods, you can adjust your circadian rhythm, you can be romantic, you can be productive, you can be anything you want under LEDs.
So how much of that do you agree with, Stan?
Everything so far, except we are getting new LEDs with high Kelvin that have enough R9 or red content, so skin tones will still look good with high Kelvin LEDs, something we could never do before with fluorescent.
Mm-hmm. So are you trying to tell us that Howard and me, we could look even better than we do look already?
Well, at least you.
Thank you.
No,
Howard thanks you too.
No, really. In addition to what Howard said, in addition to be energy efficient and saving a ton of energy, we also have these LEDs which are tunable, which means dimming, and we can change the color tone or the complete color. And with that, we really make lighting much more than a commodity, because the benefits are much more important than just the energy savings.
Well, first, let's explore exactly how you got into this and what
Sure.
lighting wizard, means in the business community and the lighting community.
Okay, I mean, I got into lighting 25 years ago. I just celebrated my anniversary on January 2nd of this year. I've worked for a distributor. I worked for lighting retrofit contractors. I've been my own consultant for a number of years with Lighting Wizards. I'm also the chair of the Human-Centric Lighting Committee. I just wrote a book which came out this March called Lighting and Controls Transitioning to the Future. And nothing has excited me more than human-centric lighting, because we can do so much more than we ever thought.
What is human-centric lighting, Stan?
It can be called other terms in addition to that: human factors in lighting, biophilia, etc. But whatever you call it, it's lighting that can improve your circadian rhythms, so you can be more alert during the day.
What is circadian rhythms? I mean, is there a channel on the radio I can listen to that?
Well, basically, we all have a 24-hour clock internally. In vision, we have two parts of vision. We have the part we can see, and then we also have a non-visual part that helps produce or suppress hormones. And so this 24-hour clock is called our circadian rhythm clock, and light can help resync it every day.
All right. Well, so do you cover this in the book? And let me
that's
remind
the
myself that the name of the book is Lighting and
longest-
Controls Transitioning to the Future. This is actually on Amazon. It's been there since March, and it's worth looking at. But query, do you cover this kind of, what do you want to call it?
It is
Physiological reaction to light?
It is the longest chapter in the entire book, because it is the most important.
Okay. Now,
And-
aside from circadian rhythms, which can be profound in your life and your health, what about psychology in general? In other words, it's Friday. I like to see Friday as a romantic time. I like to take my wife out to a restaurant, and we have a nice meal. And if I was the restaurateur, how would I improve that meal and make it more romantic using the wizardry of human-centric lighting?
Okay, well, let me just first of all say all the different things that are included in human-centric lighting, and mood is included.
Okay.
One is circadian rhythm for being alert during the daytime and sleeping better at night.
Okay.
Another one is mood that we're going to talk about. Another one is visual acuity. Another one is perception, like what time of the day it is, other than just looking at clocks. The light can help us, like shadows from palm trees, etc. And we can really help performance or productivity. There's good studies that workers can improve worker productivity. Students can do better in school. So it can do all of these things. So getting back to going to a restaurant, there's certain colors of light and also colors of the walls that can help change people's mood. Like a lot of people think red makes you alert because that's what we have, red stop signs and fire trucks. Actually, red is a soothing color, and green is more alerting than red.
How interesting. Now, you have a degree in psychology, and I really enjoyed hearing before we started that you also have a degree in Oriental philosophy.
Yes.
And then sometime along the way, you got into lighting, but somehow it seems to me that your conclusions about mood have to be related to your training, at least the psychology part. Do you have hard evidence can establish for me that green keeps me alert?
Yeah, there's actually been numerous studies in the United States and also in Europe. And in general, Europe is way ahead of the United States in this field, way ahead. In our committee, we actually have some key people from Europe, just so we can get some of their information.
And that's the Association of Energy Engineers?
No, that is the Human-Centric Lighting Committee.
A committee. So, and you're on the committee.
I'm the chairman of the committee, and all you have to do is a Google search, human-centric lighting. It'll pop up. There's a whole bunch of information on that website. A lot of it is free, and everything is free, and it's available to every person.
Is Howard on the committee?
He just joined earlier this week.
Good guess, Fidel. All right.
So, and I also want to mention about how light can be considered a drug. In a lot of ways, it's better than coffee.
A drug.
Yes.
Light. You heard it. We actually have Zuri Bender out there, and she's tweeting, and she should tweet that. She should tweet that lighting is like a drug, like better than coffee.
It really is.
The world needs to know.
In a lot of ways, it's better than coffee and caffeine beverages in general. Let's say somebody has a big heavy-duty Starbucks at 1 p.m., okay? Because there's a post-lunch dip if people eat lunch or not. So a lot of people will drink cola or coffee right after it to bring their attention back up. Mm-hmm. But caffeine has a half-life of 4 hours. Mm-hmm. So if you have a heavy-duty Starbucks at 1 p.m. with 200 milligrams, some drinks have 400 milligrams. Well, let's say it's 200 milligrams. You'll have 100 milligrams at 5 p.m., and you'll have 50 milligrams at 9 p.m., and you'll have 25 milligrams at 1 p.m. And even 25 milligrams can cause people have a delay of going to sleep. But on the other way, you can use light as a drug. You can bump up the lighting level and the Kelvin to a whiter, bluer light to help suppress melatonin and also give an instant energy boost. And that effect will last for 2 hours and then go away. So if you have to work late at night and you want to be able to sleep after it, you're much better off using light as a drug than caffeine. Plus, caffeine can make you jittery, and sometimes you won't make the best decision. But with light as a drug, you'll be more calm and stable, and you'll make usually a better decision. So that's how light is a drug, better than caffeine.
I can see somebody coming into a health clinic and saying, doctor, I'm addicted to light. I've been using it as a drug to keep myself awake in the afternoon after a big lunch. I could see that. Maybe we should do a little animation of that.
And I want to give you another example. Dr. Stephen Lockley at Harvard School of Medicine is also on the Human-Centric Lighting Committee.
Okay.
He just finished working on the NASA International Space Station. They went from fluorescent to LED. Most of the day it's 5,000 Kelvin, which is relatively high white-blue light. But when the astronauts need to do something critical and they don't really feel up to it, they can hit a focus button on the lights, and it'll go up to a higher light level and a higher Kelvin for like 30 or 45 minutes. So they'll be able to do their important thing, and then close to going to bed, it'll go to a warmer Kelvin. So it'll help, because if you have too high of Kelvin, you suppress melatonin. But before you go to bed, you want the melatonin to be produced so you can go to sleep. And so that's what Dr. Lockley did for NASA, for the International Space Station.
What is melatonin and how does it affect me chemically?
Melatonin is a hormone that in the non-visual part of vision, it'll be produced in the evening so you can go to sleep. But you don't want it during the daytime because it can make you drowsy. Mm-hmm. And there's other hormones too that light controls, but it really controls melatonin.
Okay, well, so we're going to take a short break now. When we come back, Stan and Howard, I'd like to know exactly what I can do to the light. In other words, you're talking about the potential here, the possibilities, like on this space station, but the query, exactly what do I do to the light? Intensity, temperature, what else? There must be other metrics we should examine to see exactly how we can achieve human-centric lighting. That's Howard Wiig to my left here in Honolulu at the core of downtown Honolulu in Pioneer Plaza, and Stan Walerczyk in Kihei, Maui. Howard is in the energy office at DBED. And Stan is the president of Lighting Wizard, which he operates from Kihei, Maui, which is admirable. And here we're talking about ThinkTech, the next big thing, which is, at least for this program, human-centric lighting. We'll be right back.
I'm Hong Jiang, host for Asia in Review on Tuesdays.
And I'm David Day, host for Asian Review on Thursdays. Both of us broadcast our respective shows at 4 p.m.
And my topics tend to deal with questions related to environment, culture, history, and sometimes human rights.
And my shows tend to be on international business, foreign policy, geopolitics, and national security. And you can watch our shows live on the ThinkTech website at thinktechhawaii.com.
And you can also watch us on YouTube or Olalo.
So come join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. I'm David Day.
And on Tuesdays at 4 p.m., I'm Hong Jiang.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here on ThinkTech Talks, talking about the next best thing, 4 to 5 block on Friday afternoon, and before we get into the romantic weekend. And we're talking about human-centric lighting with Howard Wiig, the energy office of DBED, and Stan Walerczyk, who is the president of Lighting Wizard in Kihei, Maui, and who has written a book recently called Lighting and Controls, Transitioning to the Future. We want to get more from him on that. So Howard, let me ask you, what should I be doing in my home to achieve an optimal efficiency, but also an optimal mood? Because I want to be friendly with my wife. Mm-hmm. I want to be romantic. And I want to be efficient in terms of working. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So how do I set up my lighting system with due regard for these special principles that Stan's been talking about?
Okay, excellent question. First and foremost, you chuck all your existing lighting, even in the bathroom, and go to LEDs. Then you go to dimmable LEDs that have the capability of shifting from an emphasis on red, blue, green. Those are the three primary colors that our human eyes see. And the beauty of LEDs is you can mix, say, lots of blue, little green, little red, or lots of red and so forth. So what you do is with your LEDs is mimic the rhythms of the day, because consider the fact that we're only under artificial light for the last 100 years or so, and we Homo sapiens go back for at least 150,000 years. So this is all very artificial. Our genes tell us to mimic the rhythm of the day and the night. So in the morning you have very, very gentle light, at first heavy on the red, and then as the morning progresses, you mix it with more and more blue, which stimulates your pituitary gland and suppresses the melatonin that Stan was talking about. When you're really ready to roar, you get a rather intensely blue-green light surrounding you, and you are filled with energy. I know you still enjoy your coffee, but the lighting substitutes for the coffee. You continue that through the day unless you want to take a siesta. If you want to take a siesta, you shift back into the red end of the spectrum, get up, boom, you're full of blue again. You have a really, really productive afternoon and early evening. Then you start mimicking the sunset. And notice that the sunset is full of red. Red, ironically, is the relaxer. And meanwhile, you have dimming capabilities. And as the day goes down, the level of light goes down. And then if you want to be really romantic, you shift it even more towards the red, so that your wife becomes more and more relaxed, more and more happy. Maybe you combine that with a glass or two of wine, and you're ready for a very, very romantic evening. Again, emulating the circadian rhythm.
Let me throw another one at you guys. So I'm a lawyer. I'm not actively practicing right now, but I'm a lawyer. And I have a conference with the adverse party, with counsel for the adverse party. And we are arguing, negotiating, we are, adverse. And what I do at this meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning is I shine the high temperature light on my side of the table, okay, to depress the melatonin. And then I shine the red light on their side of the table to enhance the melatonin. Okay, and the result is that I'm thinking really clearly, and they're in soporific land. What do you think? Would it work?
That's real good, especially if you mix that light to also include pink. Because there's a book called Drunk Tank Pink. And what a lot of correctional institutions do is coat their drunk tanks with pink walls, and that calms down these abusive, aggressive, So you get a lot of pink light mixed in with your adversary, and he's just going to be, he's thinking he's taking
going to be agreeable.
Yeah, it's equivalent to taking psilocybin or something.
Say, yes, Jay, that's a wonderful proposal you made.
Yeah,
I'm my client. I'm going to advise my client to accept that proposal, and we're going to settle this right now on your terms.
Precisely. I hope Stan is with us so he can include that in his next
Stan, what do you think? Can we do that?
Maybe, I'm not exactly sure, but it may work. But in general, I want to go a little bit more than what Howard was saying, because we do have these products available right now. They don't, in addition to NASA and the space station, there are screw-in lamps, there are fixtures that residential and commercial people can buy now. That can really do it. Some will change color, some won't. There's some that just say the good morning bulb. So you put that in your bathroom in the morning to help you get awake, and you might be able to get by with one less cup of coffee before you go to work. But in the same bathroom, you might want to have another switch for a reddish light that has no blue on it. So before you go to bed, you'll be able to go to sleep, and if you have to get up in the middle of the night, it won't wake you up as much. And there's other ones that, like the Philips Hue lamp, HUE, and there's a couple other ones that you can control with a cell phone app.
Oh, that's great. The lawyer at the table then. He could sort of, he could play this like an instrument. He could have the lights changing this way and that way and sort of structure the conversation around lighting and psychology.
And for example, let's say the kids need to go to bed at 9 o'clock. Well, you could program them to start dimming at 8:45 and turn off at 9. You could change the color tone in the morning and in the evening. There's even some some alarm clocks that will have more of a bluish white light in the morning, but more of a red light while you're reading going to bed.
These products available now?
Yes. And then on the commercial side, there are tunable LED like recessed troffers that go into T-bar ceiling. The normal 2x2 and 2x4, and they cost about the same as normal LED troffer kits. And so you can have a bunch of productivity benefits, and there's task lights. And one thing that's really important, I firmly believe this, but I'm trying to get some research dollars. I think people have an innate sense of the best light level and color tone throughout the day for different tasks, without having to be told by a neuroscientist.
Well, let me ask you a question. I mean, sometimes I write, okay? I write articles and this and that, whatever it is for whatever source. I mean, you just made a book, I mean, for example, and I'm sure there were some evenings that you were up late and you needed to draw on your strength, your resources, your acuity to come out with the best product you could write. So let's assume I want that because I'm working against a deadline, for example, in an article, and I know I'm going to be up late. So I go out to these products you're talking about, and I want to find out where to get them. And I turn up the temperature, I turn up presumably the intensity of the light, and I get the best, acuity that I can get out of my brain in order to write the best article. Is it true? I mean, this is sort of like, it's more than just caffeine. This is really powerful stuff at 2 o'clock in the morning. Is this true?
Yes, and again, there's more than there's the long-term alertness, and there's also short-term alertness. We don't really know the channel for the short-term alertness, but we know that it works. And again, this is going to be better than drinking a whole bunch of caffeine at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, now let me take it one step further. I will be working, as all of us will, in writing the article of the book with a laptop or a computer, okay? Which itself has, we know, millions of colors in the color scheme on that screen. So I could actually light up my face or my eyes with high temperature, high intensity, and I can adjust that presumably on the screen, and I can get the same result as if I filled the room. Is it true or not?
Correct. You don't even have to look into it. It can hit your eyes at an angle. We don't have to deal with it so much here, but there's SAD, seasonal affective disorder, which have blue LEDs. You could put that on the corner of your desk, not even looking at it, and it could get into your eyes and help you.
I alluded a minute ago, Stan, to the intensity, and I'm really, we don't have confirmation on that from this discussion, and I wonder if you could comment on it. I mean, suppose I made this light much more, high temperature and all that, but I made it much more intense. I really filled the room with really bright light, which I guess is another metric aside from temperature. How much would that help, and how would I do that?
Okay, it is a mixture of the intensity of light and also the Kelvin, or the range of the spectral distribution curve in nanometers. They work together. You could have a lot of intensity with very little blue content, or a little light with a lot of blue content, or something in between.
How about with both?
It's a combination of the light level and how much blue content is in the light.
Suppose I went to 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 Kelvin, and I don't know what the metric is for intensity, but I really filled the room. Am I going to have an advantage over the next guy?
Correct. I mean, like daylight, you can have 10,000 foot candles of light from daylight around noon, where in an office you only have about 50 foot candles. So you're getting a ton from daylight. So another good thing to do is try to have your lunches outside, to get, that boost from regular daylight.
Okay, we take a short break now. When we come back, Howard and Stan, I'd like to talk about what Howard was referring to in terms of the elements of color. Red, blue, green, whatever other elements are in play here, what effect they have, and how you achieve, different amounts of color, and whatever colors are relevant. There's Howard Wiig, who is in the Energy Office at DBED, Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, and Stan Walerczyk, who is the president of Lighting Wizard in Kihei, Maui. We're talking here on The Next Best Thing on a Friday afternoon about human-centric lighting. I'm Jay Fidel, and I'm really enjoying this, and I'm having fun, and I'm learning. And thank you guys for coming down. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, this is Think Tech, and one of our favorite shows is Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. And it goes 4 to 5 every Wednesday right here from Think Tech in Pioneer Plaza at the core of downtown Honolulu. And my co-host is Ray Starling from Hawaii Energy. Ray, do you like the show?
I love the show. It's great to see all the new people coming in with new ideas about how to save energy, get us off of fossil fuel, and that's what it's all about. So Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. See us on Wednesday afternoons at 4 o'clock.
I knew he'd say that. Thanks, Ray. Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here on Think Tech Talks, The Next Best Thing on Friday afternoon, 4 to 5. Talking about human-centric lighting, which is, we're sort of fleshing that out, and it's really a wonderful idea, and it sounds like it's going to be the next best thing, if it isn't already. With Howard Wiig and Stan Walerczyk, both have a lot to do with lighting. I guess Howard's principal interest is in efficiency, but he knows the technology, and Stan knows how you can change your mood, which is probably something he uses on people, but he's not going to talk about that. Anyway, so I remember we had a guy by the name of Kerry Kakazu on the show, who in Kaka'ako has a hydroponics farm right over at Key Shop. I think it's Awahi Street and Cook Street, if you know the place. And he was telling us about the elements of color in the lights that he uses to grow, the lettuce and all the other things he grows in his little farm, completely indoor farm, relying on artificial light. And I was fascinated with that, but I still don't know how you actually create the right components of light. How do you do that? Do you have little red, yellow, and green bulbs up there? What do you do?
Well, I'll let Stan elaborate on it more, but the reason that leaves are green is that they reflect the green that is bounced at them. They don't absorb the green, so to shine green light on a plant is utterly, totally useless. It's wasted. So on one side of green in our human eye spectral distribution is blue, on the other side is red. So what you want to do is customize your lamps so they're heavy in the blue, heavy in the red, and have little or no green. And that way you stimulate the holy heck out of plant growth. That's number one. Plus, it turns out that plants, just like us, need to sleep, or at least they need a downtime.
They have their own circadian rhythms, is that it?
Yeah. It's quite thoroughly amazing, and we're just really beginning to understand this, so that at certain times you have to dim or turn off the lights, and then maybe it's emulating our circadian rhythm. You create a morning and you get the plants get up, you give them their equivalent of coffee, and they're off and running again the next day, again with heavy in blue, heavy in red, virtually zero green. And I'll let Stan take it from there.
Okay, take it from there, Stan.
It's interesting, even single cell organisms produce melatonin. When they don't have eyes, they don't have brains, even single cell organisms. So lettuce is going to have that. And in addition to what Howard said, different plants like different colors, and plants also like different colors at different stages of their lives. And so with tunable LEDs, you can do that. Another great thing with LED, there is no heat from the light side. So you can have them right next to the plants, even on the sides where, you know, all other light sources have a lot of heat and you have to have them farther away. So you can have more rows of plants with LEDs than you could do with any other thing. I mean, I remember back 20 years ago when I worked for a distributor, if somebody came in with cash and wanted to buy 400-watt metal halide, we knew what they were growing.
Is that still the case? I mean, you know, in the state of Washington, in the state of Colorado, you can grow those things legally now, and I think people do right up on the second floor of their buildings with the retail below and the growing area right on top. So do they need red and green? Will this technology help
Yep.
them
Actually,
grow good
if you-
plants?
If you do a Google search for certain types of lighting for certain types of plants, you'll find it on the web. But
So-
it won't be metal halide anymore.
I love it.
And-
We have
and-
to prepare for the future, Howard.
Well, speaking of preparing for the future, the current wars are being fought over oil. My prediction, a lot of people agree with me, is the next wars will be fought over water. We're already beginning to see that in North Africa and the Mideast. And this indoor plant growing process that you're referring to, it goes way beyond hydroponics. They use 1% of the water that exterior plant growth needs. And to me, this could be the wave of the future. And you combine that with the super efficiency of LEDs, and this may be a growing industry.
Yes, literally, in
Literally,
every sense of
yes,
the word.
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Well, actually, I wanted to take you to another part of that same idea, and that is aquaponics, which I feel is very important because it grows protein, fish, at the same time that it grows plants. It's all these great technologies rolled into one, and it seems to me that I don't have to have aquaponics outside. I can have it inside. I can use artificial light, and I can really tune the development of at least the plant side of the equation with the red, green, with the intensity, and all of these very carefully programmed light metrics changing during the day to maximize the speed of the growth and the quality of the growth.
And now you've touched on something very interesting. Maybe this will be the subject of your next research paper. What sort of light stimulates growth in fish? I don't know that anybody knows that, but you're a good researcher. Maybe that's your next subject.
Well, the thing is, even as I made that statement a minute ago, I skipped over the fish thinking, well, maybe it didn't help. Maybe there was nothing you could do about light on fish, but there must be something you can do. You must agree, Stan, that I can grow my fish better, faster, healthier with better light, with light that is adapted to them, yeah?
Probably, again, since even single cell organisms produce melatonin, so will fish. Even insects do. And so you can do that. And I just want to go on to Howard's point. I mean, last year was the first year ever that food production was reduced with global warming, etc. And so not only about the water issue, but we need better ways, because if food production keeps going down, there's going to be wars, and stuff on who gets the food. And so with LEDs might be helped with the water and also with food production.
Let me throw something else in here, because it really is a sexy possibility. This morning we did a shoot on drones, and we went out, to Kailua there, and there's a place where people fly drones, hobbyists, but also serious drone developers. And drones, the best prospect for drones these days is agriculture. And one of the things that they are developing is the ability to see how a plant is doing. With infrared or ultraviolet, I forget which one, cameras, they can look down on a field of crops and determine whether the plants have enough water or don't have enough water. So somehow I think all of these things play together. The light, the amount of water, the condition of the plants, the way the irrigation is being done, or the the hydroponic irrigation is being done. Seems to me you could take all of these things together and monitor the life of the plant, so that the system is doing the best tune-up it can possibly do on these plants. And instead of having, say, these days you can grow a head of lettuce in aquaponics or hydroponics in less than 30 days, and you can do that for hundreds of heads of lettuce in a small room. Seems to me that you could tune it to be less, 20 days, 15 days, who knows how fast. You could grow crops with minimum amount of water, it's just a mist, spray of water, and you can use the technology you guys are talking about to both understand the condition of the plant and to give the plant everything it needs to make a short trip. This is pretty exciting stuff. And one of the things is this red and green is being used right now, isn't it, in aquaponics and hydroponics, in these large growing facilities in this country and in Asia, probably in Europe too, where we are using the very principles you're talking about, Stan, to change agriculture right now today.
Correct. And Michigan State University is one of the best places in this country to go on their website and see what they're doing. They have one of the best programs in the entire country.
Yeah, exciting. So, but how are we going to get there? Seems to me like, although you've been doing this for 25 years and you wrote a book, and Howard looks at it from the technical and the efficiency point of view, you guys have a sort of a nexus that way. But how are we going to get there? What's the first step for us to maximize efficiency and to maximize, so the science of learning what kind of light does what to what people and plants and animals and what have you, and then implementing that in our daily lives. Because I think once you learn the formula, it's easy to make a little black box that will do that and have the lights respond to the black box. But how far along are we? And what do we need to do to get there, to take this technology and actually deploy it around our society?
Let me give an initial simple answer, and then Stan can give the erudite answer. Again, the research and development that is being done by the private sector, plus by different governments, including our own U.S. Department of Energy, on LEDs is incredible. We're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars every year. And for one thing, the efficiency is going up. The miles per gallon in the lighting world is called lumens per watt. And a few years ago, you would have been happy with 40 lumens per watt for LEDs. Now, 60, 70, 80 lumens per watt is just standard. We're moving very rapidly towards 100 lumens per watt. One company has, in the factory, under ideal conditions, produced a lamp that is 230 lumens per watt. Therefore, and this is all under mass production, going to be cost effective. So the market is going to move itself. People, your average person, when he goes to the store, looks at three things: cost, cost, and cost. The cost is coming down, therefore sales are going up. Facilities managers in the managers of industrial places, cost, cost, cost. It's coming down. It's going to grow like gangbusters. And the types of flexibility that Stan is talking about is becoming more and more apparent. Plus, we're getting a deeper look into the brain, and we're understanding more and more how different lights and different colors affect the brain's mechanisms. A friend of mine says, think of color as a medicine. Ooh, that's pretty gosh darn powerful. And we're beginning to see that. And again, with LEDs, you can fine tune whatever color you want, again, for your romantic evening that you're talking about.
Well, I think this kind of technology could be taken to levels where it would have a significant effect on people's lives. And for example, I'm a patient in a hospital. I need to get well. I need to have whatever I need to have in order to get well. So you could arrange the lights around me to help do that. or and I hate to use this example, I'm a legislature, okay? Sometimes legislatures need really high Kelvin and very intense light to do a decent job on a given issue. So Stan, what do you think? How do we get there? Where does this
Okay.
start? Are you going to leave it to the marketplace, or do we need legislation?
Well, I don't think you need legislation, but since you mentioned hospitals, Philips has done some work in Europe called Heal Well, where they have higher light level and higher Kelvin in the patient rooms in the morning, and then through the day they reduce the light level and make it warmer. They're finding out patients are going to sleep faster, sleeping longer, recovering faster, and getting out of the hospital faster. There's also been some school studies with higher light level and higher Kelvin or whiter, bluer light in the morning to help suppress the melatonin, and also right after lunch. And they're finding out that some school test scores have been improved. But I think the biggest thing is we need a market transformation. Organizations and states have been pushing save energy, and a lot of people that have gotten that message have already done it. But I think now we're time for, let's look at what this lighting can do for your well-being. That's easier to say than health. Your sleep, your alertness, your performance, your mood, your visual acuity. And we're going to save energy on the side. But if we focus on the fun factor part and the enjoyment and how they feel better, we'll probably save more energy than if we just focus on trying to save energy.
But what is really interesting about that is we start out this whole inquiry on the notion of energy efficiency, trying to save, fossil fuel. And in the process, we learn almost incidentally that in saving energy, we can also improve the quality of our lives on top of that as a side benefit. And so here we are, talking about changing the way our communities work, but also having efficiency. What a glorious result, eh? Howard, this is all your fault.
Yep, I gladly take credit. And I would mention that in your typical office building, if you look at all the expenses, 90% of the expense is in the personnel cost. And people like me focus on the energy cost, but that's only about 5% of the total building revenue or expense. What if we boosted productivity with Stan's type of lighting by 10%? My goodness.
Double whammy.
Yep.
Fabulous. Well, Stan, why don't you make closing remarks, what you'd like to leave with our audience today about this, what they might think about, what they might do to, advance the idea.
Okay, and going back to what Howard, there's a great thing you can download off the web called The Economics of Biophilia, which talks about we spend 112 times more on productivity than energy. And so just like what Howard said, if we focus on the lighting side, and I really do think that this is like, how many people remember how it was before you got your first smartphone? And I think we'll have the same transition with lighting, that we can control the light level and the Kelvin and the color tone at different times of the day and, for different tasks. And we'll save a ton of energy, but we don't have to focus on the energy side. And we have the products available right now. Like you can buy a tunable LED task light from Amazon. It's called the Prism TL7000 for less than $100. And this is what I have in my office. And it changes light level and Kelvin, and it's a great product. That's just one example. We also have it for commercial.
Okay, well, that's Stan Walerczyk. He wrote Lighting and Controls, Transitioning to the Future, which is available on Amazon, and it's the kind of book that will change your view of lighting, change your view of the way we live within lighting. And my suggestion is that while you read it, you probably want to push the Kelvin up and probably the intensity and get the full measure of what he has to offer. Why don't you say good night to our listeners, Howard?
I will say good night, and I'm wondering if Stan has an email address or a phone number where people might reach him if they're interested.
Yes, if you go to my website, lightingwizards.com, my phone number and email address will be there. Plus, there's also some free information you can download at no cost.
Great. Lightingwizards.com. Okay. Good night, Howard.
Good night, Jay.
Thank you so much for setting this up. And Stan,
you.
thank you so much for appearing on Skype from Maui. This is Think Tech Talks, the next best thing, human-centric lighting with Howard Wiig and Stan Walerczyk. Thank you, gentlemen.